Episode of What to Pin In, and of course this time it's May. It's kind of crazy. It's coming up so fast. It's an exciting time here in Oklahoma, typically. A little bit too exciting.
A little bit. Tornado Alley.
Yeah,
as they
we
call
live
it.
in Tornado Alley, but we're really excited to be showing you guys what pins were performing last year with our members, and just to sort of help you plan on what to pin this coming month.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're sort of waiting for people to come in and join the live stream, it'd be great to hear where you're from, maybe what the weather is like during May in your neck of the woods. We can always pretend like we're elsewhere in Tornado Alley. And please share your Pinterest board that you want to be focusing on in this coming month. Or even if it's not a particular board, your account. We want to be able to follow you guys and how you guys follow each other, and you can just build this little community around the live event. And so my name is Melissa Mugginson. I am the marketing manager here at Tailwind.
And I'm Kevin Lorenz, and I'm the Enterprise Customer Success Manager here at Tailwind.
And we have David with us once again. His wife gave birth last month, so he wasn't able to join us. But he is back.
Cute tiny baby.
Yeah, adorable baby. Go to our Instagram and check it out. He's wearing a little onesie with Tailwind on it.
Yep.
It's the cutest thing.
Made by Melissa, right?
Yes.
Handmade. DIY and crafts. This should be a
I
pin.
made it. I grew the cotton. Everything.
He spat up all over it already.
Appropriate.
Excellent.
Okay, so David will be monitoring the questions and sending them over to us as we're going through everything. And today we are going to cover DIY crafts, education, food and beverages, holidays and events, kids and parenting, travel, and women's fashion. And we have, I believe it's 11 total categories on a blog post that David will be sharing in the comments, and it should be linked on our Facebook page as well. So if you want to follow along with us, we will be going through those 7 categories, but you can click through and find out some information about the other categories as well. And after this, I will be adding all of our insights to the blog post. We couldn't put it up beforehand, or else you guys may not want to join us. But it'll be there after the broadcast.
Yep.
And so, without further ado, let's get started.
All right. So we're starting with DIY and crafts here.
Yes, we're going in alphabetical order.
Convenient. I never realized that's our approach here. I don't know. So what jumps out to you about May just in general, even before we start Pump of the Year? You've been marketing for 4 years for Tailwind now, and you've created those awesome Tailwind calendars, what to pin every month. Like, what are you expecting to see as we go through these?
Bright colors.
Bright colors?
Bright colors. You can see pops of color in almost every single one of these. And I think that's just sort of indicative of springtime and growing into summer.
Yep. You'll see that throughout, especially as we get into food and drink and categories where you might not expect it, or categories where you may just not be sure of. Like, there aren't a lot of holidays in May, right? I mean, you've got Mother's Day, you've got Memorial Day, which is just, for a lot of people, don't go to work day or don't go to school day.
Sure.
And you got Cinco de Mayo coming up in a week.
That's true.
Those are the 3 big ones, I think. But I think, otherwise you see a lot of spring themes here throughout with the lack of holidays. Graduation probably being the other big event here.
Definitely.
And going through this DIY thing, that was this board here, that was the first thing that popped out to me, were the colors, like even stuff like this crumpled paper art, just to point one out.
I love this.
Yeah. There's nothing explicitly seasonal about it, other than like, man, that screams like spring visually.
Yes.
It could be any colors, but I think that's why it did so well.
These outdoor crafts in
There's
the
a lot of outdoor.
The home and decor category. We're not going to go over it today, but if you look in there's a ton of outdoor crafts. People are thinking about turning their backyards into a haven during the summer, and so it's a very popular thing that's happening right now.
Yeah, we just got our garden started at home, so and I actually saw a lot of stuff like that. Starting your, going out camping, building your greenhouse, a DIY sprinkler for kids. Like, there was a lot of just outdoorsy stuff for the month of May.
Yeah, lots of kids. It seems like we'll see it in a few categories coming up, but a lot of these are focused on children. I think that's because people are starting to plan for having their kids at home during the summer.
Right.
And having to entertain them.
Yep. When you get into travel, what are we going to do with our kids? Where are we going to go?
Yeah.
That's definitely another theme here.
Unicorn.
Second month in a row, I might add.
Yeah. And
I've been
this is
thinking
not,
about this pin for like 4 weeks. Like, I really want to make this.
This is not the only category that the unicorn poop is in, but just unicorns in general are a big
They're
trend.
huge in May.
Yeah, and I think it's funny that they're huge in May, and then just last week Starbucks had their unicorn frappuccino that broke the
Oh, really?
internet.
I was kind of kidding when I said that, but
No,
and
they
I guess they are huge in May.
They really are. and
Starbucks
it's
is on it.
funny.
They're usually ahead of the trends. They've got their big, analytics tools. They probably see unicorns pop up around April, May, and
Probably.
get their unicorn.
And
drinks
it
out
worked.
there.
Those sold out super
Those did,
fast.
yeah.
Another thing I wanted to point out that is interesting coming up, particularly this month, and I'm not sure what the correlation is, but there's a lot of these sewing tutorials.
Yeah, there was a lot of sewing in here. A lot. I'm not sure what that was either. I was kind of hesitant whether or not to mention it. I guess we should mention it because it's a trend we're seeing,
Right.
but I can't give any explanation as to why.
Other than, like, some of them are clothing related and they are springier.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't wear
Skirts,
a
right.
skirt in January unless you really want to be cold. And I really appreciate the way that, people think about sewing as something that's difficult and something that if you just saw that at a store, you would never think that you could actually create it.
Right.
And I think that's really big for DIY crafters to recognize that even if they are selling a product, showing that process is actually really powerful and can empower people. And if you are a DIY crafter, then you want people to not look at your stuff and say, ooh, that's really neat, but I can't do that.
Right.
So those step-by-steps are super, super important in this category. And we see some that are cross-category as well. So the curtain designs, of course, that would fit in not only here, but it's going to fit in on the home decor board.
Right. Yeah. Can you, let's see, can we go back up just a little bit? I think we might be down a little far. There we go.
Oh, we are. Accidentally got into April there,
Yeah,
but
got into the second row of April just a little bit. I thought that looked a little familiar. But yeah, even something like that this is clearly a Valentine's Day pin again. This snail one here, this one over
I
there.
think this
but
one is too.
again, they're those spring colors again, and I think that just lets them bleed a little bit longer outside of February and through the season.
Well, and that's
in the
also how Pinterest works. People are planning for the future, and so you may not think that
Right.
February would be the right time to have, or sorry, May would be the right time to have something that's in February. But if you're creating things, like say you were going to create this for an entire classroom, you may want to start planning that early, so you can have those ideas, sift through, find your favorite ones, and then start creating them with plenty of time.
Yep. Definitely.
All right.
Anything
Anything?
else? Yeah. We hit the core points I have here.
We did. This
Yeah.
looks like a lot of fun here.
That does. I was actually looking at that.
Again, that's perfect for
Yeah.
this month.
Yep.
I have a question for you guys.
Yes.
Awesome.
Josie Mika Stafford asks, what do I post as a wedding vendor beside wedding stuff? Lol. Camping themed weddings? Potted plants at your wedding? She's already got some great ideas.
Yeah,
Yeah, those
are perfect ideas. And DIY is big. My brother is getting married soon, and we're doing a lot of DIY for his wedding.
Yeah, announcing this to the Talent team, but finally set a date for next year. So, and we're gonna be. Yeah, now everyone knows. Yeah, so we're gonna be doing as much we are very frugal, I would say.
To be clear, we're not talking about the two of you.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, not us, not us. No, we
Kevin and
each
his
have our own
fiancé,
partners.
That'd be quite a way to announce it to our significant others.
Yeah. But yeah, we're going to be doing everything DIY, whether it's, DIY invitations, there's coming up, actually, something caught my eye was, I don't think it was in the DIY section. I think it was in another board coming up, but folding, how to fold napkins into rosebuds.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of really really cool DIY content out there on Pinterest, and we've already started looking through that. But yeah, the DIY category is just the first one that pops into mind for me. It's something you could definitely get into, and even if it's not explicitly a DIY pin for a wedding, like explicitly in the title of the pin or the design, if it looks like decor that would work well in a wedding, in a rustic wedding maybe, it could still be useful to your audience who are looking to have a wedding like that.
And really, most categories are perfect for weddings because people want to get in shape for their weddings. So
Yeah.
you can pin workout ideas. People want to have their hair and makeup done perfectly. So you can pin those ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And even within women's fashion, which is a huge, huge trend, you can pin those ideas. And then there's all the periphery parties around weddings. There's the showers. There's
Mhm.
bachelorette parties, bachelor parties. There's so much that you can do
Yeah, that's a
with
great
a
point.
wedding. Lots of categories, lots of ways to branch out. Do you have any other questions?
That's it for now.
All right, please keep them coming. We love questions. And moving on to education. And the way these boards are laid out, I did not explain that earlier, is once you come down and find the April pin, which we're searching for now, or whatever month, next month it will be May, as you go up through the board, you're going through the month. So these pins here were some of the earlier ones in the
Yep.
month. And as we go up, they will be later in the month, so towards like May 30th and May 31st.
Yep. So again, colors. This was another category where colors
Yes.
just jump out. There's a lot of overlap between DIY and education and the kids
Mhm.
category, which we're all looking at here. Lots of crafty stuff in there, and again, it's these really colorful, spring-colored crafts that you see time and time again across each of these boards here, each of these categories.
And they're brightly colored, not only because it captures kids' attention and it's spring, but also I like that we're coming towards the end of the year, and so we're seeing these memory books, and
Mhm.
that catches your eye, of course. And over here, teacher appreciation.
Yep.
The things you give to teachers at the end of the year are a way to reflect on the past year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really great way to get the kids involved in reflection, and it's only relevant this time of year, really.
You also see some. There's not a lot of graduation because
Mhm.
as all secondary teachers and TPT lament. There's a lot of primary stuff out there on
Yes.
Pinterest. It's very primary heavy, but there is some graduation stuff. There's like a FAFSA pin.
That's what I was looking
Yeah, I think near the top, so kind of towards the end of the month, which makes sense here. Well, maybe
Yeah,
not.
it's in here
It's in
somewhere.
here. We're not lying. We'll stumble across it, but there's not a lot of graduation stuff here. But again, just remember that on Pinterest, the education category is going to be biased more towards primary. There's just a lot more of it. So even though we don't see a lot of graduation stuff here, we don't see pins on, dealing with FAFSA or applying for Pell Grants or whatever, high schoolers and college students may be doing. That's something you want to keep in mind as well.
But even if you are a either high school or college age professor or teacher,
Mhm.
you can still pin things like this because students are going to be on Pinterest and searching
Mhm.
for ideas like that, especially as they're going into college and
Mhm.
they want to know what is a great way to study. How can I maximize my time
Right.
and be the best student that I can be? And another thing that I noticed this month was a lot more outdoor activities.
A lot of
Which
outdoor
makes sense.
activities. Kind of alongside that, just a lot of stuff with life in them, whether it's
Mhm.
flowers or bugs or things
Sure.
like that. It's just very springy throughout still, even though we're coming up on summer. That'll be next month, but
Mhm.
it's still very clearly
Here's the FAFSA
spring.
one. We
There's-
weren't lying.
There's the FAFSA one.
And so, of course, a junior or senior in high school
Mhm.
is going to start thinking about these things and needing this information. It's very confusing.
Mistake number 6: forgetting your signature. That's I did that on my taxes this year.
Oh no!
So that is don't forget that.
Yeah, do not forget that.
But yeah, so graduation, colors, flowers, outdoors. Those are the 4 big things I identified here. That's adorable.
It is adorable. And you mentioned life,
Mhm.
but it's not. You don't have to bring a lizard into your home or an actual butterfly into your home.
Right.
It's creating those fun crafts, which again is a crossover
Mhm.
to DIY, and I think a lot of teachers have to DIY.
Yep.
Budget cuts, and it's just fun too. There's so much crossover, and for TPT teachers, that can be really, really powerful.
Yep, that's right.
Oh, this looks fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you wouldn't want to do that in side probably. You'd want to go outside for that. So.
Yep. I wouldn't give a kid a
Yeah.
rod of paint to fling around inside.
I also noticed that there were some of these, the bulletin board ideas and starting your classroom. And I
There's-
think teachers are starting to think about that.
There's actually, yeah, I noticed that. I found it odd at first, but yeah, I guess you really are only 3 months away from back to school, and,
Right.
and teachers, I'd honestly think they probably try and get out of that headspace for a bit, but some of them are already thinking about back to school. It looks like we saw several pins like that. There's multiple pins in here that maybe don't even look like back to school pins, but if you read the description,
Yeah.
it's like great first week activity, as you return to school.
And those keywords are really powerful too.
Yep.
I thought this one was interesting because it's one of those pins that when it's relevant, it's very relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, this would have been very relevant.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, less so because we still have at least another year and a half until the midterm elections and another 3 years until the big elections. But keeping in mind those big things that are coming up in the world, the Olympics is another one that we
Oh, yeah.
have seen in the past.
Yep.
And pinning about those things when it's relevant.
Mm-hmm.
All right, David, do we have any questions?
Keep on moving.
All right.
All right. You guys are quiet today.
Getting into food and drink.
All right.
Again, trying to find the beginning of the month here, but you can sort of
Oh,
start to
you
see
missed it.
the patterns coming out.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is just because chicken's delicious. I don't know if it has anything to do with May. There's a lot of chicken in here. The other thing I noticed was you're starting to see, like almost no root vegetables, very wintertime, vegetable. You're starting to see a lot more, like right here,
Yeah.
these fruits. A lot of stuff in season that's, really starts to get into late April is sort of when strawberries hit, a lot of different berries. Avocados was,
Season here.
a month or two ago, but it's there's a lot of stuff like that. Not just in baking as well. You'll see it pop up in some pins for cooking too here, and then like a lot of light stuff as well. I mean, there's plenty of comfort food in here, but a lot of light stuff like salads. There's a lemonade in there. Definitely a lot of this is starting to look a lot more summery. I think a lot of these chicken recipes, I'm guessing, I didn't click on them and look at each one, but I'm guessing a lot of these are probably grilled, which might be
That
why
would
we're
make
starting
sense.
to
Yeah.
see a lot more.
Yeah, and I also noticed that there's a lot of warm colors compared to some of the other boards. The colors are a lot warmer, and it seems like not only are people...
I don't make blue chicken.
Yeah, they don't make blue chicken, and they don't make blue cheese. Well, they do make blue
Blue
cheese.
cheese.
I take that back. But I liked your pointing out that it's a little bit more health conscious
It is.
than we see around Thanksgiving or Christmas or even
Yes.
Easter.
Yes, it gets quite indulgent. In general, I think during the winter period, at least even thinking how I eat, I definitely eat a lot lighter during the summer, or tend to.
Right. Well, because the things like this, the things that are in season and that you want to eat and that are super fresh are the fruits and the lighter foods. Unless, of course, it's chicken.
Yep.
And we're seeing again this. It's
The
like
galaxy food.
called a unicorn, but it kind of looks like one. I just think like, if you are on Pinterest and you're trying to get traffic, lean into that unicorn trend. It seems to be
Have you not
huge.
seen the galaxy food trend before on Instagram or anything?
I have,
Yeah.
but that one specifically reminds me of the Starbucks unicorn.
Interesting. I need to find out what the Starbucks unicorn stuff is.
I've heard it wasn't very good.
Well, at least it was limited.
It was limited, yes. And I'm not seeing them right now, but there are pins in here for a ketogenic diet.
There's a lot of diet stuff in here. I wasn't sure if this was related to May or if it's just a bigger growing trend over the years in general, that there's a lot more gluten-free,
Yep.
carb-conscious
The paleo.
recipes. There's paleo in here. I saw some Whole30.
Yep.
That's whether it's limited to May or not. That's definitely a trend we're seeing now, and I feel like that's just a larger, more sweeping recent trend over the
Okay,
last
yes.
couple of years. Yeah.
The
yeah.
ketogenic is a newer diet,
Mhm.
and I think that's one that's going to start being as ubiquitous as Whole30, as gluten-free,
Right.
as paleo. So maybe if you're creating if you're creating food blogs,
Mhm.
then you may want to start looking into the ketogenic diet and seeing if any of your past recipes already fit into that
Right.
meal plan and that
It's probably
way of life.
a lot less competition around that keyword now.
Yeah.
So if you do have, if there are kind of up and coming, recently trending diets, if you can find recipes that fit into that and
Mm-hmm.
really capture a lot of that audience that's searching for it early on before there's a lot of competition around those keywords or for those diets, that could really give you a boost there.
And especially right now, as
Yep.
people are starting to think about their health and think about having to go on vacation and being swimsuits,
Mhm.
that's
Yep.
a great time to sort of jump on any sort of diet
Yep. That's a
craze
good point.
that's happening.
I could absolutely be part of it. You've got your New Year's resolutions, and then it's just sort of, kind of transitions into like, it's summertime. I need to get ready to go out to the water park and, be confident in myself.
Right. All right. Do we have any more questions? We're going to keep moving then. Holidays and events. This one is sort of dying down, I feel. I wanted to talk about this one because there's less of a pattern.
Yeah, so again, kind of like at the start, right? We've got Mother's Day coming up in May.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really notice any Mother's Day pins in here, which I thought was odd. We've got graduation. There were a couple of graduation pins in here. We got Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people pin about Memorial Day. I think people pin about camping instead. And then we've got Cinco de Mayo, and there were, I believe, a couple of pins on that in here. Those are the main holidays. They pop up in here, but I think what you probably see a lot of because of the lack of real big holidays are a lot of birthday party pins.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I noticed a lot of.
I noticed a few Kentucky Derby mint julep pins, which is
Oh,
really fun.
It is the Kentucky Derby this month. That's right.
Yeah,
It absolutely
I
is.
thought that was a lot of fun that people are,
That
I
is
know
my
in the South.
Favorite drink, by the way.
Mint julep?
Yes.
You'd fit in great in the South.
Yes.
But it's huge. I was born in Georgia, and I remember growing up, people would have those parties.
Mhm.
So if you're a Southern party planner, start getting those Kentucky Derby ideas out. And a lot of summer. We have summer
Yep.
outdoor party,
It's a lot of outdoor
summer
stuff.
ideas.
A lot of outdoor party ideas. It's a lot of birthday party stuff, but definitely a lot of it's outdoor. Also, if you scroll through it again, like the color theme still feels very springy. It's not like,
Yeah.
I guess I just said a lot of.
It's
yeah.
very, very spring, summer.
Yep. Yep. A lot of outdoors, but not necessarily explicitly summer.
And these garden parties, which
Yeah.
can be, speaking to our friend who was doing wedding planning, stuff like this, it's perfect.
Right.
That would make
Oh,
a
yeah.
beautiful wedding shower.
Yeah.
And so you could be pinning to the holidays and events category. Luau's were another big trend, this sort of Hawaiian outdoor grilling
Mm-hmm.
idea is huge this month. But it is a little, I'm telling you, the unicorns following me. But it is a little bit less defined as
Yep.
we've seen in the past.
Yep. Yeah, this one was hard for me to pin
There's
down.
another one. The Cinco de Mayo here.
Yep, there's a couple Cinco de Mayos. There's a lot of fruit in there again. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, these still feel very seasonal, despite there not being a completely clear trend. There's the oddball Christmas pin in there.
Christmas.
There's always the oddball pin that doesn't
St.
quite fit the
Patrick's
month.
Day.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day. We're a couple months late now.
Mhm. Easter,
Yep.
potentially, depending on the year. And baby showers, wedding showers, engagement parties, all of those things are always going to be popular.
Yeah.
That's always going to be relevant. Here's another luau. And then red, white, and blue. We're coming up on...
There were a couple of July 4th pins in there, yeah. So, I mean, I guess June you got Father's Day, and unless I'm blanking, the next big holiday that I think about is definitely July 4th. And there aren't a lot of July 4th pins in here. I think we're going to see a lot of that in June. But there were, I did spot at least two July 4th pins in here for sure.
That is a brave
Is that a brave prediction?
prediction to
I
make.
know.
I've made those in the past, and I've been wrong, so we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Hold on.
But I do
Writing
agree.
it down. We'll see what happens here.
All right. Next up is kids and parenting. Look, right there. Unicorn
Oh, my
poop.
goodness.
It's everywhere.
I have to start banning it from this feature. It's everywhere. There we go.
Okay, here we go. So,
That's my favorite pin, by the way. Right off the bat.
baby names. Yeah, sci-fi baby names.
Yeah. Oh, and then it's John. So. Yeah.
Arthur.
Strike that from the record. That pin
Just
doesn't
kidding.
exist. All right.
But we're seeing
What
the
category?
same pin. There's so much overlap
Yep.
between education, kids and parenting, and
And
DIY.
DIY. Yep. all
Especially
three
this
of them.
time of year, because people want to keep their kids occupied and busy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. This one again. It was kind of just some of the same themes we were seeing before, right? Like here's the campfire pin. Here's some ladybugs. Here are these spring colors here. There's some outdoorsy stuff. But I don't know. What were some of what jumped out to you here? Just like the last category, I felt like there was a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of outdoorsy
Yeah.
ideas, getting kids out playing in nature and having fun with nature and making sure they have something to do.
Yeah.
And then there's these other pins that are
A lot of
more
educational,
infographic.
yeah.
Educational.
There was a lot of
infographic.
educational pins in here, and I wasn't sure why that was.
People are not only looking for ideas once they have a child and they're raising a child, they're also looking for ideas and how to be a mother once or a father once the baby is there. And so I think this is one that my brother could use. He and his fiance have a bunch of dogs, so once they have a child, they're going to need something like that.
Right.
And I think this category potentially could be even more important in May, June, July than the education part because kids are at home.
Right. Kids are going to be at home. Yeah, there's probably going to be a lot more activity around this category in general. A lot of it's probably going to shift from education to kids and parenting. And there's so much overlap with that content as well that it's just a natural transition.
Yeah, and parents want their kids to still be active and learning and doing fun things that are also helping their sensory skills and their life skills.
Right. Yeah, we're seeing some like fun recipes for kids while they're at home. That's definitely popped up a couple of times
Fun
in here.
DIY.
Yep.
Yeah, and I thought this one was really interesting. It's an Olympic gold medal, technically. But I think this could be for any time.
Right.
It doesn't have to be related to the 2012 Olympic Games.
It doesn't have to be related to the Olympics.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
So
You get a medal for anything, yeah.
SuperMomMoments.com, they could update their rich pin data to say after the Olympics are over to say for any time, just make your own medal. That's
Make you some Addy Awards.
Yeah. I'll give myself a goal. And that's going to be fun for kids, no matter what.
Absolutely.
But then again, you can prey on the different trends, and once the Olympics are around, change it up, add the keyword Olympic in there, and potentially get discovered.
Yeah. The one thing I see, like, I feel like most of these tend to be like under 5 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because once your kids are 6, 7, 8, it's kind of easier to. I don't know. Like my parents gave me the Super Nintendo controller during the summer, and I was just like, "Well, peace out. Like, I'm fine."
Or their social skills improve, and they can make friends with their own friends.
Running over to friends' homes,
Right.
stuff like that, kind of keep themselves busy a little bit better. So
Yeah.
I definitely feel like this is a lot of the kids in parenting, at least right now. Again, not sure if it's year round. Definitely early childhood.
Where in education you could have the teenagers and the college kids, you're going to have that a lot less in here.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to travel category. One of my favorites, and get such wanderlust looking at this.
You know what? We just talked about this because it was just spring break, but it's here again because it's summer. And honestly, I think it might always be here because it's Disney. But Disney.
Yeah.
Disney's back. Disney's back, bigger than ever. There are several Disneyland pins in here. Kind of planning your trip to Disneyland, which makes total sense, right? School's out in a couple of weeks, depending on where you're at. But in the next month or so, the kids are going to be let loose to run wild yet again.
Yeah, and if we just like quickly scroll through, there's a lot of blue. There's a lot of ocean.
Lot of
there's
blue.
a lot of beaches.
Yep.
There's a lot of summer vacation planning.
It's very
going on.
summery. It's all very, very summery. Very tropical
Mm-hmm.
in general. Even if there's not a lot of blue, like
Yeah.
even
this-
when there's not a lot of blue, it's like, oh, but it's Thailand. You know.
Well, and even this, if
Right.
it wasn't a
Right.
beautiful sunset, it would be
It would
blue.
have blue. Yeah. Very beachy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely some family trips in here that aren't
Yes.
Disneyland. Call those out. Some national parks. So most of them are U.S. centric, I would say. National parks, road tripping, things like that.
Sure. Yeah, and one thing that I recently noticed that Pinterest has started to do is instead of having the expand to see more, it just sort of cuts it off.
Right.
And so when I first saw this pin, I thought, what happened here?
Same here.
It's just cut off, but you have to click in and see. So that's something to keep in mind
Mhm.
as you're creating pins and even potentially updating some pins. So this pin could consolidate to 3 different images.
You don't know what it's about right now. It's a 35 must see. It's about nature. I can tell it's about nature, but
And in California.
yeah. But yeah, that's definitely obviously that's not related to May or the travel category. It's
Yeah.
just a new change
A new
in
thing in
Pinterest. You
Pinterest,
need to
but
be
then-
aware of.
There's one like this, and you know that it is longer, but because there's no text in the bottom image,
Right.
it doesn't stand out as much.
Yep.
And so, of course, when this person created this pin, that was not what was happening. That wasn't
Right.
a thing. But Pinterest likes to change things on us every once in a
I
while.
know some people are all about just long pins. So if that's you, well, sorry. You might want to
Just-
move that text up.
Yeah,
Try and figure
beware.
out how to shorten the pin. A lot of long pins are divided into segments, so you might just be able to go to Photoshop, ditch a segment, and now it's shorter.
Yep. As we say in marketing, you want to be above the fold.
Yep, exactly.
Where
11
people can
things to
see it.
do in Maine in the spring, above the fold there.
Yeah.
And
And
that top quarter, top third.
we have 5, 6, 11, 5, all these different numbers. This comes up every month, but it's something worth repeating. Having a digestible number of things to do
It's
is
huge
really
in
important.
travel especially.
Yeah.
I feel like you go through and look at travel anything, there's a few things you're going to see. You're going to see a certain number of things to do in a certain place. Excuse me. You're going to see a certain number of things to do in a certain place. You're going to see, a certain number of tips
Yes.
for traveling. And you're going to see itineraries. I feel like those are sort of like the 3 most common travel pins outside of sort of these like wanderlust, like
Yeah.
beautiful, like
Yeah.
just gorgeous
This.
photos like this one.
Yeah.
Those are always big. Those always do super well. They're pretty evergreen. I don't think there's anything about this that makes it, makes it strong for May any stronger than it would be any other time of year. It's just a beautiful photo.
But then again, you're not going to be as likely to click through on this photo as you would be for 13 Things to Know Before Traveling to Costa
Exactly.
Rica if you're going to Costa Rica.
Exactly.
So-
I think people tend to use those types of photos, these wanderlust type photos, for more mood boards, inspiration, things like that.
Okay, so we're moving on to our last category here. Your favorite, I'm sure.
My favorite. I looked at this and I was like, I get it. I know everything that's happening in here and why. Of course, we're talking about women's fashion. I'm an expert.
There we go. Found the May. Okay, so it's spring.
Yeah. So, like, when I looked at this, I was like, well, there's fewer sleeves. Because it's May.
Sun's out, guns out.
They got holes in their pants, so get a little draft
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
I'll let you kick this off.
The camel color is that neutral that sort of stands the test of time, and it's come back big in this month, I think. We see it a lot.
Right. So, kind of what I'm always when I look through a women's fashion, when I look through this, I'm thinking of, okay, which of these were fashion trends last year versus which of these are seasonal in some sense. Like, what are the seasonal aspects of these pins versus which of these are just finite kind of temporary fashion trends. And separating that out is hard for me as a person who's not very fashion conscious.
Sure. I think a good illustration of this is going to be a little bit more trendy. It has all of the different pieces together in a way that would look good in a certain season. So maybe the big sunglasses aren't trendy, or the dangly earrings are like so 2013. But in 2013, of course, people are going to want to click through and buy and learn more about that. Whereas some of these photos that are more focused on pieces in a real life situation are a little bit more evergreen and sort of stand the test of time a little bit better.
Gotcha.
And are classic looks. Some things may not, the holes in jeans, that seems to be a thing that comes and goes. So maybe someone would look at this and say, love the cardigan, hate the jeans, or those jeans are awesome, but ditch the bag. And that's where I know we have one in here, the shop the look.
Yep.
Is big for that. So if I just absolutely love, I'm not sure if that's the purse or the coat, but either one. If I love that, I can click through and learn more about it. Let's go back. See if I can. Well, it doesn't want me to shop the look right now. But in theory, I would be able to click through and say, I really want that awesome cowl neck sweatshirt. I really want that purse.
Right.
But, leave the shoes. I don't need that. And as it's the different retail brands and fashion bloggers that work with brands like that, that's going to be huge. That's going to be a really massive driver of affiliate payouts, I think. There's a lot of potential there.
One thing I was surprised I didn't see more of, coming from, a lot of the kid-oriented categories before, and just multiple categories. Not a lot of stuff that screams like, oh, this is explicitly like warm weather wear.
Like this.
Right. Like, that's not something I'd be wearing in Oklahoma here in a couple of weeks. It's cool right now for some reason, but yeah, a lot of this, definitely no bathing suits in here. Nothing looking forward to that, despite seeing lots of like beaches in the travel category, sprinklers in the kids category, and camping. Like, I don't really see that reflected. I don't see a lot of what we saw before reflected in women's fashion. It just makes it all the more enigmatic for me.
That's really interesting. That's a good point.
Right.
Yeah. So these are almost less seasonal, at least in May. It seems to be. Although we do have things like this with the tank tops. That's true. And sandals, but. People are going to be looking for beautiful pieces to wear year-round. Okay, so thank you guys for joining us. Do we have questions?
Yes, I have a question from Diana Cyril. She says she sells bath and body products, and what could she post for me?
Bath and body products. If you are creating them yourself, I think there's some potential in the DIY. Of course, you don't want to give away your secret sauce to make your specific pieces, but you could do like a very basic how to create soaps to pull people in and get people interested, and then once they're on your website, hit them with downloads or ads.
Yeah, we saw some, I think they were bath bombs, I don't know, they were balls for baths in the DIY section, and I think there's a lot you could do in terms of like kind of fitting with the seasonal theme, colors, scents and aromas.
And check out the health.
Probably sweeter in the summer. Yeah, I would imagine.
Health and fitness will be a category that has a lot of things like that, as well as surprisingly hair and beauty. So people are looking to freshen up everything, and that's where your products could fit in really, really well.
Yep.
I have another question from Caitlin A. Shea. Shouldn't we be discussing what to pin in May for June, since Pinterest is about a month ahead? That angle would be a little more helpful. So really, I think an explanation of what we're really looking at here, which is stuff that was popular last May.
Right. Yeah, so we touched on this a little bit in the beginning, but these boards are based on pins that were performing last year. So these are pins that actually were pinned in May that took off. That's why we're talking about it, going into the month. So we're not looking towards June, but that would be super helpful if we were looking at pins that started whenever they started getting repins and clicks and stuff.
Right.
Then yes, absolutely. But because of the way the system is set up, we're just looking at the date they were pinned.
Right. So yeah, this is. I mean, we call it what to pin in May because it's literally what it is. You could think about it, what to pin for May, June, and July as well, because content on Pinterest lasts so long, right? So this content got pinned in May. It got a lot of repins in May. It probably got a lot of repins in June, July. We're still. Yeah. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah. Yeah. So anything
we're trying to account for that to some degree here.
Anything that was pinned this month that's popular, that doesn't necessarily mean it took off this month. It could have taken off in February.
So sometimes we'll see some you'll definitely see some outliers every now and then, like that
Christmas pin that
like
we
that
saw.
Christmas pin. Like somebody was thinking about it and created it and pinned it in May, and it took off, and maybe it took off in May or June, but I bet it probably took off more like September, October, November, kind of as we started getting into Christmas. So there's always a few outliers like that.
Yeah, so hopefully that helps.
Great question, Caitlin. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to explain that again.
Yes.
It's not that obvious. You're not the first person to ask that question, so thank you.
Yep.
All right. We're good. So
No more
thank you
questions.
guys so much for joining us.
Yes.
We always enjoy going through these months with you, and before too long we'll come up on a full year, and that'll be fun.
Oh boy.
So please check out the blog post related to this episode. I will be adding the insights after this. And if you'd like to join me later today at 1 p.m. Pacific time, I believe, I will be on Adobe Sparks Facebook page doing a Facebook Live with them about our Instagram challenge that we're running with them for next month. So if you're looking to build up your Instagram following, your engagement, just sort of learning how to use Instagram consistently, then I would definitely recommend joining the challenge, and David will drop that link in there for you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully you guys can join us for that.
Yep.
So that's it. We'll see you guys
Sounds
next
good.
month. Bye.
Bye.